Something to think about the next time you're about to lose your cool. A study from the Journal of the American Heart Association may help explain how anger contributes to heart attack risk.
And right now, joining us today is Dr. Brian Allen with St. David's South to talk about all of these results we were talking during the commercial break. So thank you first for being here with us today.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, guys.
Okay, so we know you weren't involved in this research. You're very familiar, though, with the findings. What is the scientific connection really between anger and heart health?
All right, so what we had already established before is that type A personalities, people that are high-strung, more prone for anger or strong emotions, they do have an increased risk of heart attack, stroke, heart disease. This helps to add to the body of literature for an actual mechanism for that. And what we found in this study of about 280 patients split into groups looking at anger in one group, anxiety in one group, sadness, and then just a control where they had no emotional response. We saw that the people that were neutral with no response versus the anger, that there was a much tighter clamp down on the arteries in the body, indicating more stress with anger than with the rest group. What that suggests is that there is a tie to the emotion to how your body is physiologically actually clamping down, increasing your blood pressure and stress on those vessels. That stress can lead to developing heart disease and inflammation that causes the arteries to form blockages over the time and permanent stiffness. So that's a very important step forward in the rationale for why you should relax.
Yes.
Yes, one of many reasons, right?
Yes.
But these studies have been done before, according to the American Heart Association. There have been studies that have linked negative emotions to the increased risk of heart attack and stroke. How is this study any different?
This is one of the first studies that's actually examining the actual tone of the blood vessels in a controlled manner in the lab versus just casually showing that people that have stronger type A personalities on questionnaires, things like that, are correlated, right? And so this actually has a scientific measurable premise. What they looked at in this study was the tone of the blood vessels in the arm with response to anger versus a resting state, and found that there was much more tightening for up to 40 minutes after this exposure to the anger, which is significant, and they measured it for that long. And so the idea is that over time, repeated bouts of anger can lead to increased stress on the vessels and to develop disease in the arteries.
So it also, it looked at anger, but it also looked at the impact of anxiety and sadness, as you just mentioned. And there seems to be a difference there.
That's right. So sadness, again, there was not any significance found there. What I thought was very interesting about the study is that in terms of anxiety, it actually just missed the significance value, but there was a measurable difference. It just missed that. And again, I would hearken back to what we know about the fight or flight response of anger and that feeling of welling tightness in the body. You get that with anxiety as well. And I wouldn't be shocked that if you had a larger subset of patients, you might also see significance with that value as well, but they did not find that in this study.
That's interesting. So knowing this information that we know now, linking anger to this risk of heart attack, what do we as a community, as regular people, do about that with that information? And also, what do you as a cardiologist do with that information?
So that's a great question. How do we use this information? We know that it is guideline driven to encourage things, and I tell my patients as well now, non-medication things we can do, yoga, meditation, Tai Chi, these are all evidence-based modalities to reduce stress, lower blood pressure, and reduce your risk for heart disease.
Okay, yes, some good techniques to employ, right?
Yes, ma'am. Mental wellness.
Yes, so important. Dr. Brian Allen, thank you so much again for being here with us today.